Now the bracket shows that Marcus is up against Xhadian and Hugh will be up against ESLYO. So let's go ahead and go to the top side and get this started. Top 4 now of the Super Magical Cup, Marcus versus Xhadian. And we're already kind of familiar with these decks, so Marcus is going to be running a pretty typical Giant Poison, while Xhadian is going to be running the Minor Hog weird double.
It's like Minor Hog. I'm calling it like Minor Hog Cycle. Because if you replaced Minor with any other card, you would call this a Hog Cycle deck, right?
Yeah.
Like if you just so I think it's really just it's another take on the old classic Hog Cycle. But if you remember, the original Hog Cycle was just Hog Rider, and then people started playing Hog and Mini P.E.K.K.A. And then I think when people started adapting to that deck, it's like, all right, I'm going to push it one further. Now I have Hog, Mini P.E.K.K.A., Minor, right? 3 things constantly coming at you.
My gut feeling is that we should start calling it the Mog Cycle.
Mog Cycle?
Mog Cycle. But maybe
Mini Mog?
Maybe Square Enix is going to get mad at us. Mog Cycle.
We got Hog Cycle, Giant Poison, for sure. Xhadian's other deck, I think, was a Giant Poison as well.
I think so, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and jump into this game.
Let's do it. Let's start writing them down game by game. All right, good opening for Marcus the Elixir Collector in your opening hand, and of course with Ice Spirit, or Ice Wizard and Guards, you're not afraid of nothing.
Yeah.
You can easily defend that Collector against some sneaky miners.
Princess coming across the tower. Okay, Hog Rider plus Minor, and we've always seen
great placement there, because I think my first reaction would have been to play the Mini P.E.K.K.A. to defend from the Minor, but that would have let the Hog Rider get through and do a bunch more damage.
Yeah, really good point.
Look at those guards. Worth a few damage on their own.
So Marcus gets away with an Elixir Collector, and he has very healthy towers.
Right. Ooh, Mini P.E.K.K.A. is so good.
Yeah, Mini P.E.K.K.A. really is. Oh my God, it actually.
Yeah.
I didn't actually expect that to survive.
Really, the tower did, but
yeah.
worthwhile.
And a second collector. What
now,
are you gonna do now?
Xhadian's gonna quickly find himself in bad shape because he had to actually cycle to get back to that Minor.
Guard it. Oh no!
Great placement by Xhadian.
Do you know if playing the guards at the top left corner covers both spots? Does he have to play on the left side or the top side?
I'm not sure. It's a good question.
So I feel like almost in every case you should just be hovering that corner and just throw it down the instant you see the Minor pop up. Because I actually think it's worth 400 damage to make sure you get into double Elixir Collector.
Maybe a little too late, but that Musketeer would have been played at the river. Probably would have shot the cannon and not been all bunched up there.
Oh yeah.
But even then, like a lot of great damage. The Ice Wizard was actually taking the tanking afterwards, so that low health Musketeer did a lot of damage. I mean, it shot a cannon up.
Definitely paid for itself.
Yeah.
All right, Marcus gets away with a lot of damage, but gives up his Elixir Collector position.
If that happened, yeah, I think he's gonna rather reinvest into more Elixir.
Yeah.
The Ice Wizard is just such a not a bad. I mean, it's not terrible, right? But it just doesn't do any damage, right? It only does about 45 damage a shot, or 40 damage a shot, or something like that.
It's
that you can let it tick up a few before you really care.
It's definitely a card. Oh no! It's definitely a card that becomes infinitely better with things behind it.
Right. Speaking of things behind it, this Mini P.E.K.K.A. is going to hide behind this giant.
Ooh, nice.
And potentially cause some real big trouble.
Oh no.
Guards.
Nice zap though. Musketeer plus a zap.
I like that Musketeer placement too, because he's just really safe. Like, it's going to end up killing that Ice Wizard too before ever crossing the river, and it's a way to really maximize the value of some of these cards without having them take tower shots from your opponent.
Yeah, good poison too on the Princess. Zap is needed to stop the Musketeer from doing a big amount of damage.
But you can see how important Mini P.E.K.K.A. is when you don't have cannon. Like you take one tower swing, you take one hog swing every time you defend with the Mini P.E.K.K.A., but your counterattack is much better. You force them to have to use their guards and whatnot.
So moving into overtime, Marcus finds himself with a well-defended Elixir Collector, and in double Elixir Collector phase, you don't necessarily need to feel the pressure to get 2 out at the same time. You could
exactly tied too, 863 to 862 in terms of tower damage.
Yeah. But I think this is going to start hurting Xhadian just a little bit. We'll see. It all comes down to how Marcus can manipulate the card cycle so that the giant is on the advantage against the cannon.
And the Princess gets to avoid the poison that time, which is, I think, probably one of the best ways that Marcus could use a poison and get value out of it. Whilst, oh no, this Hog Rider is going to come up. The Mini P.E.K.K.A. is behind, a little too far away. It gets one swing, which is very fortunate. That easily could have been 2 swings.
Yeah,
if
2
that zap
would be
was even
fatal.
Off by a little bit. That Princess, so we talked about the poisoning the Princess. Look how much damage that Princess did. She pretty much killed that Musketeer by herself.
Yeah, the fact that the Musketeer is down is really, really the big tragedy of this push. Big difference if the Musketeer was surviving with a sliver of health.
And once again, like because the princess is off cycle, he's got to go a long way to get back to it, and that princess can just sit there.
Momentum
and
has shifted to Xhadian's side, and let's see what the defense is. The mini P.E.K.K.A. is
really
good, but the second part of the attack is really the important one when the Hog Rider is going to be coming in. And because the Hog Rider is fast and the Giant is slow, the Hog Rider could very well kill the tower before the Giant even reaches Xhadian's side. We'll have to see.
And then once again, that poison came out, but the princess can come up right now.
Oh no!
Oh, an unanswered
Zap.
miner.
That actually might take down the tower if he zaps the miner. Or, yeah,
He
zaps
does.
the
He needs
tower.
one more swing.
Oh my god!
Does he have a zap up? He just used his zap already, so he's trying to cycle back as soon as he can. He's putting up his defensive cards. One poison will kill him, but Marcus can't get to his poison in time and certainly can't wait the 10 seconds to do so. Here comes a miner and takes it down.
Oh my.
Xhadian steals game 1. But really, Marcus just kind of let that one go.
Yeah.
I think when you get down to only 500 or so health, you know, when you have full health towers, I'm much more willing to be like, you know what, I'll take 300, right?
Yeah.
I've got some money to play with here. I can let it go.
Yeah.
But you don't really have hit points to play with when you have 500 or less hit points. And I think Marcus made kind of a fatal error there, not always having something in his pocket ready to deal with the miner.
It becomes all the more important. Even though double elixir means you gain back elixir quick, you need to make sure you're spending your elixir smartly because your towers are at such low health. You almost always need to make a dramatic response to anything that comes across because you don't want to take any chip. So, Marcus down 1, Xhadian up. Xhadian has to use the alternate deck. Am I looking at this right?
Xhadian switched to his giant poison, yeah. He had the minor
Oh yeah,
hog.
yeah, the hog.
He had the minor hog cycle. So he kept...
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, his other deck didn't play poison, I don't think. You can take a look. You can take a look at the other...
Let's take a look. Let's
take a look at deck lists real quick to make sure we got the right ones.
Let's not commit another Xhadian, right?
No, he didn't have poison, so...
He didn't have poison. He had zap.
Is there cannon in both decks? I don't think there's cannon in both.
1, 2. Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. He doesn't have his minor.
Yeah, there's definitely...
Yeah, it's these 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. He didn't have guards. That's interesting.
Yeah,
no, he did.
Hold on 1 second. I'm counting my hands. Mini P.E.K.K.A., guards, cannon, zap, and then princess and ice wizard. Hold on.
Okay, so he definitely has 1, 2, 3, 4. He has these 4 for sure.
There's also zap. Or go back.
Yeah.
I'm counting.
He has these 4 for sure. Okay, so he didn't have musketeer. That's the thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. He didn't have musketeer. So
check collector and poison. Collector and poison are the only 2 I care about. I think I've checked, but no poison to collector. It's fine. Wow, they just look really similar.
Yeah,
wow.
they look really similar.
Xhadian plays every week. I don't know why he would have illegal decks. We were checking to make sure that Xhadian didn't have illegal deck lists. Your 2 decks have to be at least 4 cards apart, and we were just like going crazy trying to make sure it was the same. But no, totally legal deck. I don't know why. We're okay. The only reason we're a little weird about it this week is because we're a little low on admins.
Yeah.
We have the people who run the Super Magic Club also run another bigger event, and almost everyone is on the other large event right now.
Yep.
Which has 51,000 viewers at this moment. Yeah. Woohoo! Wow, man. Super Magical Cup will be there one day. Our new set is only a few weeks away from being complete.
Yes. Very excited for that.
Back to the games.
Let's see. Marcus35, Giant Poison is his alternate deck.
He's stuck
with
Giant Poison deck. Xhadian switches to his Giant Poison deck after winning with Mini Hog.
Yep.
In the first one.
So let's look at the Clash of the Giants. So let's change this up to the other part. I think the Musketeer is the other big damage dealer.
I think Musketeer has really shown her muscle this week. I mean, most of these giant pushes aren't really... The giant never even gets to the tower. It dies just a little short as popping Musketeers the whole time.
All right. There is the miner to punish collectors on Xhadian's side, so that's going to be a big boon to M.
Double miner in both of Xhadian's decks. Pretty interesting.
Yeah. Giant miner. They just took the 2 popular cards of each of the decks in the meta and just mashed them together.
I mean, Giant is just so hard to deal. And the funny is, I don't actually think Giant is overpowered particularly. I just think that the other tanks aren't as powered, right? Like I think
the efficiency of the Giant just justifies it.
Like if they nerf the Giant, I hope it's very small, maybe like 3%. Like it doesn't need a lot of hit point nerfs or anything like that. But what it really needs is P.E.K.K.A. needs a buff and Golem needs a buff to make it so that there's other alternatives. Because right now I just think that those other cards aren't really alternatives to Giant.
Yeah.
not the giant.
It's a very similar, but not exactly the same. I think it's a very similar situation with a cannon, right? Just the fact that it costs so much less elixir, like the giant costs so much less elixir than the other tanks, like really kind of justifies itself in terms of its function.
And Mini P.E.K.K.A. too. I mean, Mini P.E.K.K.A. is seen in so many decks, but I don't think Mini P.E.K.K.A. is particularly unbalanced. I just think that is the only tough, high damage melee attacker that's not vulnerable to spells, right?
Yeah.
So if there was, if Lumberjack, for example, did a similar amount of damage, I think you'd see people splitting between Mini P.E.K.K.A. and Lumberjack, but not that Mini P.E.K.K.A. is inherently broken or anything.
Yeah.
Because we see how easy it is to stop it. I mean, Mini P.E.K.K.A.s get stopped all the time on offense.
Yeah. Nice defense with the Mini P.E.K.K.A. Ooh, interesting. So they're going to opt to kind of race DPSing down the giant.
Right.
You can see how much that poison does to slow down the attack speed. And now there's a full-on musketeer.
Who lives? Yeah.
1, 2.
Oh,
I thought it was going to be 3. I thought it was going to be 3
as well.
Yeah.
With Ice Spirit, we saw that it tends to be like more like 3 shots.
Yeah.
Because the Ice Spirit doesn't do that much damage.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Wow, Marcus is pretty good. He's pretty good at doing that. Yeah.
Knew where that was going.
Yeah. Got him.
There's a little bit of gamesmanship there too, because it's never like what's the best place to put it. It's
Yeah.
what does my opponent think the best place is to put it, and then I
Yeah.
go around it.
Yeah.
So good call by Marcus being like, all right, I'm gonna put it on the far side because he's not gonna go to the close side. That's
Yeah.
where he thinks I'm gonna go.
Absolutely. Double giant.
Cycle was able to cycle pretty quickly through it here with double elixir, but you can see how the double giant really just set up 10 elixir worth of stuff to die, and this counter push is looking pretty scary.
Yeah, the thing about double giant is you need to make sure that you can't just play double giant by cycling straight to the giant and playing it. You need to make sure that you have enough supporting units behind it to make it scary. Oh no! Oh my god, but there's still so much damage from the musketeers.
Those musketeers are still that low health musketeer, and there's the poison taking it with 1 second left.
Oh,
Marcus is going to take this one down.
Marcus does it! Brings it back 1-1.
Pretty great.
Brings it back 1-1. The superior giant poisoner.
And I think, you know, Xhadian's big mistake there was, I get it, like the double giant is normally the really good way to do the push, but when both players had been building up these attacks, because you're defending against minor, right? So like, you play minor, I already have defensive cards against minor, then the giant push is coming across, well I get to parlay my minor defense into push defense into a counterattack. If you're not going to clear out that stuff that's killing your minor and giant, you can't just let it build up, because then your counter push is going to be lethal.
Hog Riders are everywhere. And actually, now that we mentioned it, was it Darth Jar Jar, or who was it in your Reddit write-up that was talking about, I made it without any legendaries.
That's true. That's right.
And I wonder, I'm going to go back and check Marcus's other deck. I don't think he had
That's right. Last week, the first Xhadian.
Yeah. Oh no, he has the Ice Wizard.
That's fine. But even then, like, I was really happy to see last week Darth Jar Jar make the top 4 with no legendaries in either of his 2 decks, because the week prior to that, the second invitational, the top 8 decks averaged over 2 legendaries per deck. We had 17 legendaries and 8 deck lists. It was pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad to see, sort of like how you were saying earlier, just, you know, good, common, rare, honest, hard-working, blue-collar decks come back into the field. Although we are seeing a whole lot of minor, so let's not.
We'll see. All right, Marcus35, trifecta.
Right.
Pretty simple, clean-cut trifecta. No Mini P.E.K.K.A. Xhadian, again with his giant poison. Let's just see how these butt heads.
Oh, wait, I set up the. Or we can keep those. I guess. Fine.
Yeah. Giant minor is just so. It's such a solid, like, you have your bases covered. Right, with those 2 cards. Kind of like, between minor poison, you're kind of playing the elixir game. Between giant minor, you're playing kind of the tanky game. And then your supporting units are just helping bring the damage. Okay.
That cannon's not so hot. Actually, pretty good. It does take 2 shots, and the Musketeer was able to clean up both.
So I think it's very fortunate for Marcus that Xhadian doesn't quite have a giant in cycle.
Yeah.
Good
point.
You know, if he saw that cannon, I got chopped away by Mini P.E.K.K.A, time to play my giant, and then you're screwed, you know? Very tough, the opening
Interesting
hands.
to point out that those guards did more damage than the hog.
Yeah.
Like, people are ready for Hog Riders. They sell the farm, but a lot of times you'll let things like minions or guards, like, well, whatever, I'm not going to do anything about that. And they can end up doing a pretty good amount of damage, especially for their 3 cost, right? It's not a very expensive card.
I honestly believe that around like 500 damage, like 400 to 500 damage is the point in time where you kind of say like, that hurt,
Yeah.
you know? So like a Hog Rider, like for example, a Mini P.E.K.K.A, a single swing, you would be pretty happy about a single swing with a Mini P.E.K.K.A, right?
Yeah.
With a Hog Rider, I think 2 swings is like pretty like, oh, okay, you know, I can buy that, right? But a single swing on a Hog Rider, especially early game, is kind of, I don't know.
My rule of thumb is kind of like 200 damage per elixir cost is kind of like your, and what the difference is. So if I spend
Right.
6 and they spend 4, then I need to do about 400 damage to be like, that's worthwhile. If you
Right.
think about it, that those like hog zaps over a mini P.E.K.K.A or whatever do like 1 swing, maybe
Yeah.
2 swings. Well,
Yeah.
that's only 500 damage for your like 6 to 4.
Yeah.
It's a little, that can be good if it's 2 swings. If it's 1 swing, it's under
Yeah.
the threshold. So if,
Yeah.
if you get nothing but 1 swings, not worth it. If you get 2
Yeah.
swings every time, worth it.
Yeah. Interesting how that dynamic will change. It just feels a lot different once you see your Hog get 2 swings. Like, I can live with that.
And by that threshold, every spell is not worth it, which makes sense, right? Because like, you think about it, rocketing a tower is never worth it unless it's the killing of the tower.
Absolutely. And yeah, and obviously that dynamic changes in the late game. Right. Nice.
I like that, being able to get both the Musketeer and, well, it's actually a near dead collector, but you know.
Yeah, and
pumps are
take a
pumps.
look. 2 swings on that Hog Rider, and
Right, so
and
slow
that
it
puts
down.
that puts Marcus in this really good mid game situation. Kind of only needs a few more plays to put that tower into poison range. You know,
Oh, so here's what I'm talking about. Oh, wow, the Miner actually might kill the Musketeer. It does.
and the zap.
Is that worth it? I don't know, 5
Yeah,
to 4 though, maybe.
I-
That's
I-
worth it, I think so.
I think
You get a little
maybe
bit.
he should have not spent the zap.
Yeah.
I think just let it.
But if the Musketeer dies with a sliver of health, you're in big trouble.
Yeah, that's
Of
true.
course, you can always zap later.
Yeah. A second miner this time. This time it actually connects, and there's a giant right next to the tower. Oh my god. Oh my
Those-
god.
Oh, that Musketeer wins! Oh, nice. I like the Hog to distract because I think she knew she was in trouble.
Yeah.
And the Ice Spirit survives! Oh,
Oh
no!
my. That was so close.
That was close to being
That was
big
very,
time
very
trouble.
close.
That would have been a few swings.
Okay, Marcus has about 8 elixir to defend.
I don't like the Valkyrie
Play-
against the Mini P.E.K.K.A. That seems bad shape. Uh-oh, Ice Spirit will help buy a little time, but that thing's gonna come out and nothing's really done damage to it because everything's locked onto the giant.
Oh
Xhadian
my
hits it.
god. Play your musketeer right next to the miner. Sacrifice half the musketeer's health. I don't care, but just make sure your tower doesn't take any more damage.
Gotta defend those towers. So Marcus, or Xhadian, pulls it out there with some excellent miner play. I really liked how he was able to cycle that miner very, very quickly.
Yeah, he was constantly putting pressure on.
Yeah.
It was a big theme.
So that is, trifecta giant poison.